Hello. Welcome to Better Every Day, a channel that shares comprehensive personal development knowledge through great books. Today, I would like to share a video from Better Every Day's famous biography bookshelf. Why do we need to read about the lives of famous people or geniuses? Because we can learn a lot about their lives and their perseverance in intelligence or strength to face challenges in life. We can also learn about their weaknesses, which helps us to avoid making the same mistakes. Additionally, reading biographies of intelligent people gives us a broader perspective beyond our personal limits. In general, Better Every Day's book selection is diverse and rich, and biographies of famous people are also a priority choice. I hope today's video can bring you many benefits. Today, I would like to share my effort to truly bring the name of a great person soon through the book Steve Jobs. I invite you all to listen together. In 2011, Steve Jobs passed away due to a serious illness. Since then, the world has lost a legend. After he passed away, the only official biography of Steve Jobs that was agreed upon by him was written by the former editor of Time magazine. The book was released and became a bestseller all over the world. Before this book was made public, people saw Jobs as a mysterious genius. But after it became more popular, people realized that the genius was just a person who lived a very simple life. Just like the motto that Steve Jobs took as a guide when designing Apple products, which is simple and elegant. Similarly, a simpler life is a better life. Simplifying material possessions. An author once said that if a person values material possessions too much, he will have to pay the price with his spirit in a noisy and chaotic society like today. We have and are running on the path of chasing material desires, until we are exhausted and miserable. Only then can we realize that we have too many useless things. We need to learn how to simplify our desires, so that we can move forward comfortably. In Steve Jobs' biography, there is a story that once, Bill Gates and his wife came to visit Steve Jobs and his wife. Before opening the door, Bill Gates looked around the Jobs house with a surprised expression. Everyone lived here. But in reality, at that time, Bill Gates was building a mansion 66,000 square meters, while the Jobs house was just made of red bricks and small round stones, no different from any ordinary house outside. Jobs was not impressed by the desire to buy yachts, villas, or designer clothes. From 1998 to 2010, at Apple's announcement ceremonies, Jobs always wore the same black t-shirt and blue jeans. He pursued simplicity throughout his life. Let's move towards less, which means more. As more people have less materialistic desires, they will have more time and energy to focus on things that truly matter in life, such as family, friends, and personal growth. I have previously watched a TED Talk by the famous American author and minimalism advocate Joshua Becker. In the world's eyes, Becker is undoubtedly a successful man, as he once held ownership of 150 stores while still young, and had the ability to freely purchase luxury cars, mansions, or any other extremely expensive products that he wanted. However, the endless desires for material possessions made him feel exhausted in the pursuit of wealth. When his mother passed away, he was busy making money, and when his children needed the guidance of a father as they grew up, he was absent. Becker began to think about what he truly needed, and then he quit his high-paying job, reduced his assets by 75%, and got rid of 90% of the unnecessary things in his house, leaving only 288 necessary items. He realized that when he got rid of unnecessary things in life, it became simpler and more meaningful. He had enough time and energy to do what he liked. As Becker said, We should get rid of 90% of unimportant things in life, and the remaining 10% will give us more. It also applies to the saying that by getting rid of superficiality we can change the world. When we are confident enough to give up unnecessary desires and organize our lives more effectively, we can have a more free and abundant life. Simplifying material possessions is actually helping us to create a new life with more complete meaning. Simplifying relationships. In reality, simplifying is not only applied to work, but it can also be applied to all of your relationships. By simplifying the world, it also becomes simpler for you. When he was young, Jobs was a talented and creative youth, but inside the appearance of a genius, he had an unusual or eccentric personality. Many people came to him because of his talents, but also left because they couldn't stand that character trait. On this issue, Jobs said, "I like to associate with intelligent people because they don't have to consider their own dignity." Intelligent people don't have dignity by default. Not only do they not care about what is called appearance, but they also always prioritize their own maturity, so they can always keep an open mind at any time. Steve Jobs never wasted time praising or pleasing anyone, because he always believed that instead of wasting time on those who are not necessary, it is better to spend time developing smart people. Therefore, those who can survive under high pressure not only become leaders in their field, but can also become lifelong friends of Jobs. The world of adults is not really complicated. Just think that apples are very delicious for many reasons. But there are also people who think that bananas are more delicious for other reasons. That is not important. We do not necessarily have to try to change each other, and a comfortable relationship is enough. I will go eat apples with those who like to eat apples. You go eat bananas with those who like to eat bananas. As adults, we should live in a way that each person only responds to their own interests. We don't need to live to convince others, and we don't want others to convince us. In our relationships, we only need to choose and not change our different ways of life. There's no need for us to force everyone to be the same. Things that make you bow your head and make you exhaust yourself to integrate with someone or a group are all mistakes. Dao Mao said that I avoid relationships that are not important, but also too intense, which makes me feel heavy and carrying a lot of burdens. I don't talk much about unnecessary things, which makes me feel at ease. I love someone carefully because I don't let my emotions overflow. I don't need to be deep. I just want the simplest, most comfortable relationship is a simple relationship. Simplifying life. A famous Taiwanese comic artist dedicated his life to one principle, that living a simple and straightforward life is the wealthiest in spirit. Even if he only eats one meal a day, even if it's just steamed buns and tofu, he still finds it delicious. The ancient Greek philosopher Epicurus, who founded the philosophy of Epicureanism, which aims to maintain happiness and a peaceful life without pain and fear. He had very little property and ate bread, oil, and water every day, and occasionally added a little cheese on special occasions. He once knew that when we talk about the purpose of life, our joy is not a joy from consumption or physical pleasure, but a joy from not feeling painful about the body, not having trouble with the mind. It's not a joy from constantly drinking from the wine bottle, not a joy from pleasure or sexual relationships, nor is it a joy from enjoying fish or any flower, but it's a mental peace. Finding a basis to choose and discard the things that make the mind suffer. The true taste of life is joy from pure things. The joy of life always comes from getting rid of and simplifying. In Steve Jobs' biography, there's a detail that when Steven became famous all over the world, he was a billionaire, But at home he didn't have bodyguards and no one to serve him. Even during the day he didn't lock the door at that time. Everyone around him was constantly consuming and showing off. But Jobs said that I had seen people at Apple, people who after making a lot of money, felt like they would have a different life. They would buy supercars and many houses, each with a housekeeper, then hire someone to manage all of those housekeepers. Their wives would go for plastic surgery and became superficial. This is not how I want to live. I have promised myself that I will not let money ruin my life. There are only 3 most important things in my job career: music and family. And when he was diagnosed with cancer and could no longer manage the activities of Apple, the most important things in his life were only 2: family and music. At that time, Apple employees knew that Jobs was sick and suggested organizing a farewell party for him. However, he always refused and went home to have dinner with his family. In the opinion of the author, happiness is actually very simple. Having a warm home to return to, someone waiting for you, and a light shining for you. As writer once said, the 4 components of happiness are sleeping in your own bed, eating meals cooked by your parents, listening to words of love from your loved one, and playing with your children. We often think that these simple things are repetitive and boring, but that is what true happiness is, something that cannot be replicated. As Steve Jobs said, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. It is harder to keep things simple because you have to work hard to make your brain simple. But in the end, this effort is worth it because once you step into this world, you can shake up an entire mountain of life, and the simpler you are, the more you can enjoy the sweetness and beauty of life. Ignoring unnecessary material desires. Ignore unnecessary schemes and relationships to have more motivation to strengthen the depth of your own life. Thank you for listening. If you find this video useful, please share it with friends and those who need it. I hope that we can all filter our lives and hearts to become simple people. In this complex materialistic world,